If you're watching this right now, freeze. This is not a coincidence. You've been marked as a chosen one, and what I'm about to reveal will 100% confirm what you're becoming. Something so extraordinary that even God himself was impressed. The heavens have documented your journey, your struggles, your tears, when no one was watching. Your name keeps appearing in realms you cannot see. Chosen one. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If this message is already speaking to your spirit, don't just watch silently. Subscribe now so you don't miss the confirmations God sends your way. You know how the enemy tries to distract you right when you need a word the most. You've felt it your entire life. This unexplainable knowing that you were different, set apart. The strange dreams that felt more like visits. The sudden insights that couldn't have come from your own mind. The way strangers look at you sometimes, as if they recognize something in you that you yourself haven't fully grasped. This isn't your imagination, this is your awakening. What the enemy doesn't want you to discover is that before you were even born, your spirit was selected for an assignment that would shake foundations. That's why you've always attracted unusual levels of opposition. The monitoring spirits have been tracking your development, reporting back to realms that fear your emergence. You see, ordinary people don't experience the level of warfare you've endured. Common souls don't trigger the reactions you generate just by entering a room. There's a reason why you can feel atmospheres shifting around you. Your very presence disrupts darkness without you trying. Notice how certain people are inexplicably drawn to you, while others feel threatened without you saying a word. That's the mark of selection. Heaven's attention creates both attraction and opposition. Last night, a decree was issued concerning you. Angelic forces have been assigned to accelerate what's been delayed. You're about to witness sudden divine connections, unexpected favor, and supernatural restoration that makes no logical sense to those watching. The confusion you felt about your path is lifting now. Those moments when you questioned your sanity, wondering why you could perceive things others couldn't see, feel things others couldn't feel. They weren't mental lapses. They were spiritual awakenings. Your unusual sensitivity to spiritual atmospheres, your inexplicable compassion for strangers, your ability to know things without being told. These weren't random traits. They were divine equipment being activated within you. This is your confirmation. You are becoming exactly what heaven designed you to be. And even God is impressed by how you've remained faithful when everything around you screamed to give up. What no prophet has had the courage to tell you is this: your selection comes with a price that few understand. The moment heaven marked you, you became a target for forces that recognized your potential before you did. Those unexplained attacks weren't random. They were calculated attempts to neutralize your power before you discovered it. Remember those betrayals that cut deeper than they should have? Those weren't just people being people. The enemy strategically sent familiar faces to wound you where you were most vulnerable. Why? Because wounded vessels leak, and the enemy wanted your anointing to drain away through unhealed hurts. The unusual levels of resistance you faced in areas where others seemed to advance effortlessly. That's the price of carrying something dangerous to darkness. What flows through you threatens established systems that profit from spiritual blindness. Notice how situations that resolve easily for others become complicated battlegrounds for you. That's because you're not fighting natural circumstances. You're disrupting spiritual assignments every time you refuse to back down. The isolation you've experienced, feeling misunderstood even by those closest to you, wasn't social awkwardness. It was protective separation. God had to position you where you couldn't be contaminated by lower perspectives while your spiritual DNA was being activated. Your unusual dreams, sudden waking in the night hours, unexpected emotional waves, these aren't signs of instability. They're evidence of your spirit being tuned to frequencies that most cannot access. The veil between realms is thinner around you. The price has been high. You've questioned yourself, wondered if the intensity you experience is worth it, considered dulling your gifts just to fit in. But here's what's happening. Every opposition, intended to destroy you, has instead refined you. The fire meant to consume you has only burned away what was never meant to be part of who you're becoming. The rejection, meant to isolate you, has only purified your connections. The confusion, meant to derail you, has only deepened your dependency on divine guidance. This is your confirmation. What they intended for your destruction has been repurposed for your development. The very attacks sent to eliminate you have strengthened you instead. The price of being marked is high, but the privilege of carrying heaven's assignment makes every tear worthwhile. What you're experiencing now, this overwhelming sense of being cut off from everyone who once surrounded you, isn't abandonment. It's divine protection. The isolation that feels like punishment is actually your preparation chamber. When God is about to elevate someone significantly, He first removes them from contaminating influences. Have you noticed how former friends suddenly don't understand you anymore? How family members look at you with confusion? How conversations that once flowed easily now feel strained and disconnected? This isn't coincidence, it's consecration. The empty spaces around you aren't evidence of rejection, they're evidence of selection. The Creator is clearing your atmosphere of voices that would dilute your calling, relationships that would drain your anointing, and connections that would compromise your character. In this isolation, something profound is happening. Your spiritual senses are being heightened. Without the constant noise of shallow agreement, you can now hear divine whispers. Without the distraction of fitting in, you can now see with unclouded vision. The very loneliness that hurts you is healing you. What the enemy meant as abandonment, God designed as appointment. The silent phone, the empty calendar, the nights alone. These aren't signs of your insignificance, they're signs of your set-apart status. Desert seasons always precede promised land promotions. Notice how your prayers have changed. Once filled with requests for comfort and acceptance, they now burn with hunger for purpose and power. That's the fruit of isolation. It burns away the need for human approval and ignites desire for divine assignment. The isolation chamber feels cruel only because you don't yet see what's being built within you. While others chase popularity and platform, you're receiving roots that will sustain what's coming. The public success they gain quickly will fade just as quickly. The hidden strength you're developing now will endure generations. You're not being punished, you're being preserved, not rejected, refined, not forgotten, focused upon. The isolation isn't evidence of divine displeasure, it's evidence of divine design. Few can handle the weight of glory without first being strengthened in solitude. This is your confirmation. The silence around you is full of purpose. The emptiness is being filled with power. Your isolation chamber isn't your tomb. It's your womb, where everything that's about to be born through you is taking shape. What looks like everyday challenges to those watching your life is actually specialized training for your assignment. Each difficulty you face isn't random hardship. It's custom-designed development for abilities you'll need in your next season. That financial pressure forcing you to track every dollar. It's training for the wealth management assignment coming your way. The difficult person you can't avoid. They're developing your authority to shift atmospheres without saying a word. The recurring health battle. It's teaching you to command healing that you'll soon release to others. The opposition isn't blocking your destiny. It's building your capacity to carry it. God isn't testing your patience. He's testing your readiness. The question isn't when will this end, but what am I becoming through this? Look closer at the pattern of your trials. Notice how they target specific areas of character, specific spiritual muscles, specific mindsets that would limit your effectiveness. That's not coincidence. That's curriculum. While others receive their training in visible classrooms with certificates and recognition, you're being schooled in hidden places where only heaven records your progress. The lack of applause isn't lack of advancement, it's protection from premature promotion. The moments when you chose integrity, though no one would have known the difference. When you forgave, though you could have retaliated. When you gave though you had little left, these weren't small decisions. They were graduation exams. And you passed. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of pushing through when giving up seemed reasonable. These weren't wasted pain. They were investment. The return is coming, and it will astonish those who thought your suffering had no purpose. The enemy wanted these trials to break you. Instead, they've revealed what can't be broken in you. What was meant to expose your weakness has instead confirmed your calling. What was designed to make you doubt has deepened your determination. This is your confirmation. Nothing in your development has been accidental. The precise pressure points where life has squeezed you hardest are exactly where your greatest strength is forming. Your hidden training ground isn't punishment, it's preparation for a level of authority that requires character equal to power. There comes a season in every chosen one's journey when heaven goes silent. The prayers that once received immediate answers seem to hit a ceiling. The presence that once felt close now feels distant. The clarity you once walked in becomes clouded with questions. This isn't abandonment, it's advancement. The divine disconnect isn't punishment, it's promotion in disguise. When a teacher goes silent during an exam, it's not because they've rejected the student, it's because they're testing what the student has truly learned. Heaven's silence is testing what you truly believe when feelings no longer confirm it. Have you noticed how your prayers have changed? No longer are you asking for comfort or convenience. Now you're asking deeper questions about purpose and identity. That's the fruit of the disconnect. It forces you to seek not just God's hand, but God's heart. Those nights when you've cried out and heard nothing in return weren't evidence of rejection. They were invitations to a deeper trust that doesn't require constant reassurance. The God who seemed so vocal in your beginning stages is now developing your spiritual maturity through sacred silence. What feels like abandonment is actually advanced training. In the early stages, God speaks clearly because you need the guidance. In higher levels, God speaks more subtly because you need the growth. The silence isn't absence, it's a different frequency of presence that your spirit is learning to discern. The questions haunting you: have I missed God? Have I fallen from grace? Have I wandered too far? Aren't signs of backsliding. They're signs of upscaling. The enemy wants you to interpret divine disconnect as divine disapproval. Don't fall for the deception. Every great vessel in Scripture experienced the training ground of heaven's silence. Joseph heard nothing for years in prison. David received no word while running for his life. Even Jesus experienced the turning away of the Father's face. This disconnect isn't your disqualification, it's your development. Listen. I know you're watching quietly, just taking everything in. But chosen ones like you don't come across these messages by accident. If this is touching your soul, hit that subscribe button. Don't keep walking through spiritual warfare alone when a whole family of chosen ones is right here with you. The betrayal you experience wasn't a random act of human cruelty. It was a calculated spiritual assignment. When someone who knew your vulnerabilities used that knowledge against you, when someone who claimed to support your calling suddenly turned against it, when private information became public ammunition, these weren't just painful moments. They were prophetic markers. Look at the biblical pattern. Joseph was betrayed by brothers before his elevation. David was betrayed by Saul before his kingship. Jesus was betrayed by Judas before his glorification. Betrayal isn't just something that happens to chosen ones, it's something that must happen for their complete development. Notice the precise timing of your deepest betrayals. They came right before breakthrough, right before elevation, right before new levels of authority were about to manifest in your life. The enemy always attacks what's about to be activated. The assignment against you reveals the assignment on you. The person who turned against you didn't just happen to change their mind. They encountered a spirit of jealousy that recognized what you carry. Their rejection wasn't really about you. It was about what's being formed in you that threatens established orders. The pain cut so deep because the connection was genuine. Your heart wasn't wrong to trust. Your spirit was being strengthened through broken trust. What feels like a devastating loss now will soon be recognized as necessary removal. Not everyone assigned to your beginning is permitted at your breakthrough. The public humiliation, the damaged reputation, the whispered accusations, none of these can stop divine purpose. In fact, they accelerate it. While you were defending yourself, heaven was recording every false word spoken against you. While you were wondering what you did wrong, God was preparing vindication you didn't have to fight for. What the enemy meant as your destruction became your distinction. The betrayal designed to disqualify you has instead developed discernment in you that will protect your next season. The wisdom you now carry wasn't learned in comfort, it was forged in fire. The hardest truth to accept: this betrayal was necessary. Without it, you would have remained attached to human validation. Without it, you would have built on conditional love. Without it, you would have missed the revelation that your calling is not dependent on consensus or collaboration. This is your confirmation. The blueprint of betrayal in your life isn't random suffering, it's strategic strengthening. Everything that was stolen will be restored sevenfold. Everyone who abandoned you will witness your elevation from a distance. The betrayal wasn't your end, it was your beginning. The attacks against you have escalated to a new level. No longer are they just targeting your circumstances, they're targeting your self-perception. Those sudden waves of inadequacy, the unexpected thoughts of failure, the crushing sense of not enough. These aren't just emotions. They're calculated warfare against who you're becoming. The enemy has studied you long enough to know that external opposition couldn't stop you. Now the attack has shifted inward. Notice how the doubts come in your own voice, how the accusations feel like your own thoughts. That's strategic. When the enemy speaks, through familiar channels, you're more likely to believe the deception. Those dreams where you're failing, falling, or being exposed aren't random night fears. They're attempts to program defeat into your subconscious. The heaviness that comes over you without explanation, the sudden questioning of your calling, the comparison traps that leave you feeling hopelessly behind. This is identity theft in the spiritual realm. Why would such concentrated effort be directed at how you see yourself? Because your true identity carries authority that threatens darkness. The enemy doesn't fear what you do nearly as much as who you are becoming. Actions can be countered, but authentic identity releases power that cannot be fabricated or faked. Look at the specific areas where doubt hits hardest. These aren't your weakest points. They're your most powerful potential. The places where accusation screams loudest aren't exposing your failure. They're revealing your future. What's under attack is precisely what's about to be activated. The questions that haunt you. Who am I to think I could? Why would God choose someone like me? Haven't I disqualified myself? Aren't evidence of your inadequacy. They're evidence of your imminent authority. Destiny always faces its fiercest resistance right before manifestation. This battle isn't just about feeling better about yourself. It's about reclaiming the authority of your God-given identity. When you stand in who He says you are, demonic assignments must bow, closed doors must open, and impossible situations must yield to the weight of who you carry within you. This is your confirmation. The identity theft attempt against you isn't random torment, it's strategic prevention. What the enemy is working overtime to make you doubt is exactly what heaven has decreed you will become. Your authentic identity isn't just powerful, it's dangerous to every kingdom built on deception. There's a reason why every major biblical figure spent extended time in wilderness seasons before their greatest impact. Moses had 40 years in Midian. David had the caves of Adullam. John the Baptist had the desert. Jesus himself had 40 days of testing. Your wilderness isn't a detour, it's the most direct route to your destiny. What feels like wasted time is actually sacred preparation. In the wilderness, something happens that can occur nowhere else. You learn to distinguish God's voice from every other influence. When stripped of comfort, convenience, and constant stimulation, You develop spiritual senses that cannot be honed in abundance. Notice what's happening in your desert season. The things that once satisfied you no longer do. The approval you once craved no longer motivates you. The goals that once drove you seem shallow now. This isn't depression, it's deepening. Your capacity for substance is expanding as your tolerance for superficiality is shrinking. The wilderness reveals what's truly in you. When no one's watching, when nothing's working, when comfort is absent, that's when you discover who you really are. And what you're finding may surprise you. Beneath the pain and questioning, there's a resilience you didn't know you had, a faith that refuses to die, a determination that can't be broken. This barren season has forced you to dig deeper wells. Where others have shallow spirituality that dries up in heat, you're accessing living waters that sustain, regardless of external conditions. The wisdom you're gaining can't be taught in comfortable settings or learned from books. It can only be forged in the crucible of necessary suffering. The divine encounters that find you in desolate places carry more weight than those that come in celebration. When God speaks in your wilderness, the words aren't just heard. They're branded into your spirit. The revelations aren't just inspiring, they're life-sustaining. The promises aren't just encouraging. They're anchors that hold when everything else shifts. What looks like abandonment to others is actually intimate apprenticeship. The wilderness isn't God's rejection. It's His exclusive classroom for those called to carry unusual authority. Anyone can prophesy in the palace, but only wilderness graduates can sustain power without being corrupted by it. This is your confirmation. Your wilderness wandering isn't punishment for something you've done wrong. It's preparation for something you're about to do right. The wisdom you're gaining now will save nations later. The desert is not your destination. It's your development zone. Something has shifted in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Where you once retreated from opposition, you now feel an unexplained courage rising. This isn't random emotional change. It's divine empowerment. The season of constantly defending yourself is ending. The season of authorized offensive has begun. The warfare hasn't decreased. You've increased. The attacks haven't weakened. Your spiritual muscles have strengthened. What once overwhelmed you now activates something fierce within you. This is the emergence of your warrior spirit, the part of you that heaven has been preparing through every battle you thought you were losing. Notice the difference in your prayers. They've shifted from desperate pleas for relief to bold declarations of authority. From God, please make it stop, to, in the name of Jesus, this stops now. This isn't pride, it's position. You're finally standing in the authority that was always yours, but that suffering had to activate. The enemy's strategy against you was effective for a season because you didn't understand the weapons at your disposal. You tried fighting spiritual battles with natural solutions, anxiety with logic, oppression with positive thinking, demonic assignment with human effort. But now your eyes have opened to the arsenal heaven allocated to you from the beginning. Those moments when sudden clarity cuts through confusion, when scriptures you've known for years suddenly carry explosive power, when your words seem charged with an authority that even surprises you. That's your counterattack being fueled by heaven's armory. The opposition that once paralyzed you with fear now ignites holy indignation. You're no longer asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Now you're declaring, "This cannot stand in the presence of the God I serve." This shift in stance changes everything in the spirit realm. Defensive positions rarely win wars. Offensive authorization changes territories. Even your language has changed. Once filled with uncertainty, "I hope, I wish, maybe God will," now carries the weight of knowing. It is written. God has spoken. This will not stand. The difference isn't just semantic, it's seismic. Words backed by convinced faith move mountains that emotions alone cannot budge. The attacks against you haven't been random, they've been training. Every accusation, every betrayal, Every season of isolation was building spiritual muscle memory for this moment of counteroffensive. What the enemy meant to destroy you has instead developed you into someone who cannot be intimidated by the same old tactics. This is your confirmation. The counterattack you now feel authorized to launch isn't human aggression, it's divine assignment. The very areas where you've suffered most will become the grounds of your greatest victories. You weren't being defeated, you were being trained to defeat. Pay close attention to the connections suddenly appearing in your life. These aren't random encounters or coincidental meetings, they're divine alignments. The people who happened to cross your path carrying exactly what you've been praying for, the strangers who speak directly to your situation without knowing your circumstances, the unexpected opportunities that align perfectly with your calling. These are heavenly coordinations. After seasons of isolation, this sudden influx of connection feels almost disorienting. You've grown accustomed to walking alone, carrying vision no one else could see, holding promises no one else could validate. Now, seemingly out of nowhere, people who speak your spiritual language are entering your world. This timing isn't accidental, it's appointed. Notice the specific way these connections confirm what God has been speaking to you in secret. The exact words you've heard in prayer being repeated through someone who couldn't possibly know. The precise direction which you've been sensing, suddenly validated through multiple sources. This convergence isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. What you're experiencing is the alignment of human relationships with heavenly purposes. Just as you were prepared through isolation, these divine connections have been prepared for you. They weren't ready to recognize you before. You weren't ready to receive them before. But now, heaven's timing has synchronized both journeys. Not all new. Connections are divine assignments. Some come to extract, not enhance. Some recognize your anointing but covet it rather than complement it. That's why your wilderness training included heightened discernment, so you could distinguish destiny connections from distraction connections. Trust the internal knowing that says yes to some and not now to others, even when you can't logically explain it. These divine connections bring a validation that feels almost healing after so much misunderstanding. To be seen accurately, to be known authentically, to have your calling confirmed by those who carry similar authority. This is soul restoration after seasons of being dismissed, diminished, or rejected. What's most beautiful about these connections is their mutual nature. You're not just receiving, you're giving. They're not just blessing you, you're blessing them. This isn't hierarchy, it's harmony. Each bringing their piece, recognizing that kingdom advancement requires collaboration, not isolation. Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. Have you noticed how everything in your life suddenly feels compressed? Lessons that once took years now come in days. Tests that once stretched over seasons now arrive back to back. Revelations that once trickled now flood your spirit. This isn't chaotic coincidence. It's divine acceleration. The pace of your preparation is shifted because the timeline of your manifestation is advanced. Heaven operates on perfect schedule, and something about this current season has triggered supernatural compression of your development. What could normally take decades to learn, overcome, and master is being downloaded into your spirit at unprecedented speed. This acceleration explains the intensity you're feeling. The pressure isn't punishment, it's production. Diamond formation requires both carbon and compression. Gold refinement demands both fire and focused heat. Your accelerated growth isn't happening despite the intensity, it's happening because of it. Pay attention to how quickly you're moving through challenges that once would have detained you for months. How rapidly you're recognizing and rejecting toxic patterns that previously entrapped you for years. How swiftly you're absorbing wisdom that formerly would have taken decades to integrate. This acceleration isn't human effort, it's divine intervention. The heaviness you sometimes feel isn't just emotional or physical exhaustion, it's the weight of accelerated glory being formed within you. Just as expectant mothers feel the increased pressure as birth approaches, your spirit feels the intensified development as manifestation draws near. This compression of your timeline explains why old issues you thought were resolved are suddenly resurfacing. It's not regression, it's final extraction. Heaven is bringing to the surface anything that would hinder your next level, allowing one final opportunity for complete healing before elevation. What feels overwhelming is actually optimal. If these lessons, healings, and developments came at normal pace, your emergence would be delayed by years or even decades. The acceleration, while intense, is evidence of heaven's urgency about your assignment. The enemy isn't stealing your time. God is redeeming it. This is your confirmation. The seemingly chaotic acceleration in your life isn't random spiritual adrenaline. It's strategic divine compression. Everything happening now, the intense dreams, the rapid revelations, the swift closures, the sudden openings, is preparing you to carry something that would crush you if it arrived before this accelerated preparation was complete. Just when you thought you'd overcome the worst opposition, an unexpected wave of resistance has crashed against everything you've built. Relationships you thought were secure have suddenly become strained. Health that seemed stable has inexplicably faltered. Resources you counted on have mysteriously dried up. Progress that appeared certain has abruptly stalled. This isn't random misfortune, it's calculated final resistance. The enemy always launches the fiercest attack right before breakthrough. The darkest hour truly comes just before dawn. The most intense labor pains precede the moment of birth. What you're experiencing now isn't evidence of failure. It's confirmation of imminent breakthrough. Notice the precise timing of this resistance. It didn't come when you were weak, confused, or unprepared. It came after you found your footing, gained clarity, and developed spiritual strength. This opposition isn't targeting your weakness, it's targeting your readiness, not your failure, your forthcoming success. The nature of this resistance reveals exactly what the enemy fears most about your next season. If the attack focuses on your health, your physical strength carries threat to darkness. If the attack targets your mind, your mental clarity endangers enemy strongholds. If the attack comes against relationships, your connections carry catalytic power. The specific focus of opposition reveals the specific impact of your imminent authority. This final resistance feels different from previous attacks. It carries a desperate quality, a frantic energy, a last-ditch effort to stop what cannot be stopped. Earlier opposition sought to derail you. This opposition seeks to delay you. Earlier warfare tested your ability. This warfare targets your confidence. Earlier battles questioned your calling. This battle questions your resilience. The intensity of opposition directly correlates to the importance of your assignment. Small callings attract small resistance. Nation-shifting, generation-impacting, kingdom-advancing assignments attract maximum opposition. The weight of what's coming against you indicates the weight of what's coming through you. Even in this resistance, notice what's different about your response. Where you once would have panicked, you now find unexpected peace. Where you once would have questioned everything, you now stand in quiet confidence. Where you once would have retreated, you now advance with steady determination. This changed response reveals how profoundly you've been transformed through every previous battle. This is your confirmation. The final resistance pressing against you isn't random suffering, it's strategic prevention. What feels like everything falling apart is actually everything falling into place. What appears to be last-minute failure is actually final stage alignment. Your breakthrough isn't being prevented, it's being purified, positioned, and perfected for maximum impact when manifestation arrives. Something powerful is happening in your atmosphere. The lies that were spread about you are being exposed without you saying a word. The people who dismissed your calling are witnessing its undeniable manifestation. The doors that were wrongfully closed are opening wider than you imagined possible. This isn't coincidence, it's divine vindication. Heaven has kept record of every tear, every false accusation, every unjust treatment. While you were silently trusting God through betrayal, rejection, and misrepresentation. He was preparing a public restoration that would leave no question about his hand on your life. This vindication isn't just for your comfort, it's for his glory. Watch closely as former critics become unlikely advocates, as those who questioned your calling now seek your counsel, as opportunities you were denied unfairly suddenly return with greater access and authority attached. This reversal isn't just good fortune, it's strategic divine justice that proves God's faithfulness to those who remain pure when falsely accused. This vindication carries an unexpected weight of responsibility. The temptation will be to use your restored influence to settle old scores, to prove critics wrong, to establish dominance over those who doubted you. But the true mark of a chosen one is using vindication as a platform for healing, not harm, for reconciliation, not retribution. Notice how perfectly timed this restoration appears. Had it come earlier, pride might have corrupted your character. Had it come later, needless suffering would have drained your strength. The precise timing reveals the perfect wisdom behind what felt like endless delay. What appeared to be divine inaction was actually divine protection of both your calling and your character. The favor now flowing toward you will attract many who previously ignored or rejected you. Some come with genuine recognition of their error. Others come with self-serving motives, hoping to benefit from what they once dismissed. Your enhanced discernment will distinguish between the two, without bitterness clouding your perception. This vindication feels nearly overwhelming after seasons of fighting for basic recognition. The contrast between then and now reveals why the waiting was necessary. You needed time to develop the character that could carry this level of confirmation without being distorted by it. This is your confirmation. The divine vindication unfolding in your life isn't random blessing. It's righteous restoration. Everything taken wrongfully will return multiplied. Every false word spoken will be publicly disproven. Every rejection will be replaced with divine selection that no human can revoke or restrict. Something has fundamentally changed about the impact of your presence. When you speak now, people don't just hear words, they feel weight. When you enter rooms, atmospheres don't just acknowledge you, they respond to you. When you pray, circumstances don't just improve, they transform completely. This isn't increased confidence, it's activated authority. The power now flowing through your words and presence isn't the result of human development or personal growth techniques. It's the manifestation of authority that was always yours by divine appointment, but needed maturity to access responsibly. What's changed isn't your position, it's your capacity to carry what was always assigned to you. Notice how differently spiritual resistance responds to you now. Where once it fought you directly, now it often flees before confrontation begins. Where once it required extended battle, now it yields to your first command. Where once it left residual effects, now it breaks completely. This shift isn't just improved spiritual technique, it's upgraded spiritual authorization. Your words carry new creative power. Things you declare with faith seem to materialize with unexpected speed. Situations you speak into with authority rearrange themselves to align with what you've decreed. This isn't magical thinking. It's manifestation of the divine principle that authorized words create reality when spoken from a aligned position. Even your silent presence has become disruptive to darkness. Without saying anything, you find negative atmospheres shifting, oppressive environments lifting, confused situations gaining clarity simply because you entered the space. This isn't superiority. It's the natural impact of carrying activated authority in a world desperate for authentic power. With this authority comes sobering responsibility. When your words and presence carry such weight, casual speech becomes consequential. Offhand comments create realities. Emotional reactions impact atmospheres. The same authority that brings freedom when properly directed can cause damage when carelessly deployed. This explains why your preparation was so thorough and often painful. The weight you now carry required fortified character. This authority activation explains why the warfare against you was so intense. The enemy wasn't fighting who you were. They were fighting who you were becoming, not your present impact, your potential authority. The opposition wasn't just about silencing your voice. It was about preventing this very activation that now makes your voice impossible to ignore. This is your confirmation. The authority now activating through your life isn't temporary empowerment. It's permanent commissioning. The same voice that once seemed too quiet to be heard now carries nation-shifting, atmosphere-changing, bondage-breaking power. The authority was always yours by inheritance. Your journey was about becoming someone who could wield it with both power and purity. The time has come. After all the preparation, purification, and positioning, heaven is now revealing your specific assignment. This isn't just general purpose. This is divine commission with supernatural clarity. The confusion about your exact role in God's plan is lifting like morning fog, revealing a path more focused and more powerful than you dared imagine. Pay attention to the supernatural encounters happening now, the dreams with specific instructions, the waking moments when divine strategies download into your spirit, the coincidental confirmation through multiple sources. These aren't random spiritual experiences. They're commission papers being delivered directly from heaven's throne room to your spirit. This commission feels different from previous directions you've received. It carries both weight and peace simultaneously, both authority and clarity, both power and precision. The vague sense of being called has transformed into a specific knowledge of what you're called to. The general awareness of purpose has crystallized into particular assignment with divine parameters. What you're receiving now isn't just information, it's authorization. The difference between knowing about a mission and being commissioned for a mission is official backing. Heaven isn't just suggesting a direction, it's dispatching you with full spiritual clearance to accomplish something specific that requires your unique design and developed authority. Notice the perfect fit between this commission and everything you've endured. The rejection prepared you to stand alone when necessary. The betrayal developed discernment to protect what you're carrying. The isolation refined your hearing to receive specific instruction. The warfare trained you to maintain mission focus under attack. Nothing was wasted. Everything was weaponized for this exact assignment. There's still a battle to fight, but it's different now. The resistance isn't primarily external. It's internal. The temptation to shrink the vision, to make it more reasonable, more explainable, more acceptable to those around you. The pressure to reduce divine commission to human comprehension. The fear of stepping fully into what feels too big, too important, too consequential. But something has changed in your spiritual posture. Where once you questioned your worthiness, you now stand in confident humility. Where once you hesitated at crossroads, you now move with decisive clarity. Where once you required constant confirmation, you now recognize the voice of your sender without second guessing. This changed posture isn't pride. It's maturity, not arrogance. It's alignment. This is your confirmation. The kingdom commission now being revealed to your spirit isn't random assignment. It's divine design. Everything about you, your personality, your pain, your passion, your problems, your positioning, has been precisely calibrated for this exact purpose. The confusion wasn't lack of calling. It was preparation for commission. Before you go, chosen one, don't forget, the fact that you made it to the end of this message means something. Your spirit needed this. Don't walk away without subscribing. It costs nothing, but it means everything. For the journey God is taking you on. Join the family. Your breakthrough might be in the next video.